or New Hampshire.
And welcome back. Whether Donald Trump's decision to skip tonight's debate is right or wrong, good judgment or bad, good campaign tactics or bad, that's, of course, for you to decide at home. And our panel to talk about tonight. When he arrived on his customized 757 tonight, he agreed to talk to our Brianna Keeler. She joins us now. Brianna, how'd it go?
It was a really interesting interview, Anderson. We spoke on his plane with his wife, Melania, his daughter, Ivanka, and his sons, Donald and Eric, looking on the entire time. And we talked about how he decided not to go to this Fox News debate tonight. He said that he was fielding phone calls all day from Fox News, including Roger Ailes. He said he got a phone call apologizing, wouldn't say who apologized. He actually said he might have considered going to the debate, but at this point it was too late. He already had this event scheduled for veterans in Des Moines, and he was unable to go. Here's the interview. Mr. Trump, I want to clear something up right off the bat, because I've heard from people over at the debate site, and I know a lot of them are expecting, and quite frankly, a lot of them are hoping that you'll make some sort of appearance tonight, even if it's in the spin room. Do you think that's something you'll do?
Well, Brianna, what's happened is when I said we won't do the debate because, as you know, I was treated not so nicely. And at some point you have to put your foot down. What I said is we'll do something for our veterans. And we're going to have a big fundraiser, and it's already set up. And I just saw on CNN, we have thousands of people standing online. It's a big event, and it's taken a whole life of its own. So I will be going there, and I think we're going to have a great time. We're going to raise a lot of money. We've already raised a lot of money for the vets.
Putting aside the fact that you are upset at this point with Fox News, we are right now just a few days away from the caucuses. Right. There are a lot of Iowa Republicans who are undecided. Do they deserve to hear you on the debate stage tonight answering tough questions?
Well, I think they will hear me because I'm going to be up there for an hour or an hour and a half at a bigger event. I mean, we're going to have more people than they have.
But getting questions asked of you by a moderator?
Well, I think they've been hearing me. I've had 6 debates, and according to every single online poll and most other people, and in particular on the last one, I've won every debate. I mean, they've asked me every question they can probably ask me. And I guess we have 5 other debates scheduled after this, at least, which is a lot of debates. The Democrats are already finished with their debates. It's a lot of debates.
I think they're having more now, as we've just
Well, now
actually
they may.
learned.
I understand they want to do some more.
I hear you saying that there have been several debates, but back in 2011, when Republicans had already gone through several debates, you were hoping to do a debate with Newsmax, have Republican candidates there. They started bailing on the idea, and you told actually Megyn Kelly at the time that they weren't showing courage, that they weren't showing bravery. And here you find yourself, after several debates, bailing on the idea of having another one.
Well, that was an interesting thing, because Newsmax just called me out of the blue. They said, we'd love to have you host a debate. And I'm friendly with Chris Ruddy and the folks over at Newsmax. I said, I'll do that if you want me to do that. Not something I've ever done before, but I think I could do it pretty well. I don't know if I could do it like you, but I could do it okay. And so I was willing to host a debate. But I think they were a little bit concerned with me as a moderator, because they think I might have been a fairly tough moderator, which I wouldn't have been. I would have been fair.
But you have an issue with certainly one of the moderators of the debate. How is it any different?
Well, I'm not a person that respects Megyn Kelly very much. I think she's highly overrated. But other than that, I don't care. In fact, when Fox called me, because they very much want me there, they called me just now. They called me just before you walked into the plane. And they called me, and in all fairness, very nicely. But they want me there very badly, and I never once asked that she be removed. I don't care about her being removed. What I didn't like is their public relations statement where they were sort of taunting, and I didn't think it was appropriate. I didn't think it was nice.
Don't you sometimes put out press releases that are, they're somewhat similar in tone to the one that you object to from Fox News?
I can understand that, but for me it just wasn't, I didn't think it was appropriate right before the debate.
You do have this well-documented beef with Megyn Kelly. We've seen it kind of go back and forth at this point. Yeah. You said...
And I think she's fine. You know what, can I be honest? I think she's fine. It doesn't matter. She asked me a question which I thought was inappropriate. I thought it wasn't a good question. I think it wasn't fair. I gave her a good answer. I think it was my Rosie O'Donnell answer. I gave it to her. And frankly, to be honest, I think that I won that debate. According to every online poll and many of the pundits, I won that debate. Brett also asked me a question, which was, the raise your hand question, which was not exactly an easy thing to do. But I love the debates. I will say this. I've probably given more interviews than anybody. In fact, I'm credited with that, whether it's you or anybody else. I've given more interviews than anybody. I've been in 6 debates. I've done well in every debate. Everybody said I won the last one, but they said I won most of them. And I've actually enjoyed the process. I just didn't think this was a fair process. And by the time They apologized. I said, look, the problem is we now have a big event
They,
scheduled for the
on the
vet.
phone, apologized. Is that what
Yes,
the phone call was
Fox
about?
could
Did you
not
get?
have been nicer.
You got an apology?
Yes, and they could not have been nicer.
Who apologized
I don't
to
want
you?
to say.
Okay, so when it comes to Megyn Kelly, and you have had this beef, you raised the idea of the word bimbo. You said you didn't want to use it. You said it was not politically correct.
I didn't.
But you,
I didn't. Did you see it?
You said the word, and
No.
then you've retweeted
I said
followers.
I wouldn't want to use it because it's not politically correct.
You've retweeted followers who have used the word. Why?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're followers. That's a retweet. That's different. That's different. Look, I haven't had a very good relationship with her. I think she treats me very unfairly. She covers me all the time. I mean, you know, for somebody that doesn't want to necessarily like Donald Trump, I mean, I'm always covered. I'm on her show all the time. But I just don't think she treats me fairly. And that's okay. I mean, she's got to do what she's got to do. I don't think she treats me fairly. And it's one of those things.
Ted Cruz
Right.
has been, not just Ted Cruz, but also those who support him, have been hammering you when it comes to your previous views on late-term
Well,
abortion.
I'm hammering him on
But
his views
they-
and where he was born.
they have been-
And he's weak, by the way. He's very weak on
But
illegal immigration.
you said to my colleague just recently, Dana Bash, you said, I don't want to talk about that when you were asked about your previous support for late-term abortion. Was
You know what?
this,
Because
was this,
everybody knows. First of all, it's false. I am pro-life. Everybody knows I'm pro-life. He knows I'm pro-life. You know, Ted Cruz also took a commercial. Wait a minute. Ted Cruz took a commercial that I ripped down an old lady's house. He said, ripped down. They have the bulldozers. They say he destroyed, and because of eminent domain, which, by the way, is very important because you wouldn't have roads, you wouldn't have schools, you wouldn't
but
have
can
any-
you explain this? You said
Wait a
previously.
minute, wait a minute. The house was never ripped down. I never ripped down the house. She didn't want to do it. Ultimately, I said, let's not do it.
Well, let me ask you
No,
this
no, wait,
question,
wait,
though.
wait. Why
Well,
aren't
we-
you mentioning?
This is my question,
Brianna,
though.
wait, Brianna. He did a big commercial. He said, I ripped down a person's
But what does that
house."
have to do with
It
you
has a
not
lot to
wanting
do
to
with it.
talk
It
about
has-
this issue of late-term abortion?
Excuse me. It has a lot to do with it because he's very dishonest in what he's doing. He said, I ripped down a house of an elderly lady, and I didn't rip it down. And he
you've
never
said
apologized.
that, and you've said that certainly, and that's
No,
in the
but he
interview.
never apologized.
Was this you bailing on this debate so that you didn't have to talk about things like
Not
this
at
issue
all.
that you clearly don't want to address?
Not at all. I'm doing an interview with you. I'm doing
But you
interviews
won't answer
with
the
Bill
question.
O'Reilly. I'm answering every question. You're here a long time. I mean, a lot longer than you're supposed to be. I'm doing interviews last night with Bill O'Reilly, and he even said, I was so surprised you did the interview. I did the interview. I was totally open. I have nothing to hide. I've done more interviews than anybody. I've done the debates very happily. But I was insulted by Fox, and I said it's time not to do it. And by the way, I think you're going to find that a lot of the voters and a lot of the caucus goers, I think they're going to say he's the one person that will stand up for himself. When it comes to this country, we have nobody that stands up. With our Iran deal, where instead of walking out of the room and making proper deals, we just took everything they gave us and we gave them $150 billion, and it's a disaster. We didn't get our prisoners back until everything was done, and then they go and they put guns to our sailors' heads. So look, we need people that are going to stand up for themselves and for the country. We don't have that.
Focusing on tonight, what do you say to that Iowa voter who might have been thinking, you know what? I like Donald Trump. I'm thinking of supporting him on Monday night. And now maybe they're backing away from that. Maybe they're turned off because they feel like this is just a bunch of drama with you not going to the
Brianna,
debate.
I say this. I wanted to fight for myself, just like I'll fight for the country. I was treated very badly and very unfairly by Fox. Fox was very nice.
But Fox aside, what
Excuse
about the
me.
voters?
No, I'm explaining something to you. I was treated very unfairly by Fox. Since then, they've been excellent. They've been very nice, but it's too late because we have an event and we're going to make a lot of money. You'll hear that, over $5 million for the veterans, probably more than that. But I was treated very unfairly. Since then, fine. What I say is this. You have to stick up for yourself. You have to fight for yourself, and you have to fight for your country. And a lot of people are saying, I really respect Trump because he took on the establishment, which in this case is Fox. He took on the establishment. And you know who else respects it? Fox respects it, and they told me that.
You've been sort of going back and forth. There's been some criticism of you from Ted Cruz when it comes to immigration. You've talked about sending undocumented immigrants back to their home countries, and then you said allowing the, quote, good ones back in. Ted Cruz has called that touchback amnesty.
Sure. I was just endorsed by Sheriff Joe of Arizona. There's nobody tougher on immigration than Sheriff Joe. He chose me because he understood me, and he understands my plan. Now, Ted was totally in favor of amnesty. Ted didn't want to build a wall. All of a sudden, he's now saying he wants to build a wall. I'm the only one that wanted to build a wall. Ted was saying Ted was very weak on illegal immigration. And just to go a step further, if I didn't bring up illegal immigration, it never, ever would have even been a subject. You wouldn't be asking me that question right now. You would have never been asking me that question. We are going to have borders. We are going to have a wall. Mexico is going to pay for that wall. You know, everyone sort of smiles when I say that because they think that's impossible. The reason they're going to pay is very simple, because they make a fortune with our country, a fortune with trade and other things coming across that border, that very porous border. So we're going to have a border and we're going to have a country again.
I've heard what you joked about. You said you could shoot people and you wouldn't lose supporters. And I've heard some people say it's kind of maybe taking supporters for granted. Are you taking your supporters for granted?
Not at all. And frankly, that was done obviously in a very joking manner. And a lot of people laughed. In fact, I was smiling. They were smiling. Everybody was smiling. And the truth is, your own polling said that by far Trump has supporters that will never leave him. I was up to 68 or 69%, and then I think it got even into the 90s with pretty strong. But we have great people. I have great supporters. I have just amazing people. I am in love with the people. I cherish these people. They are really great, and I'm very proud of that. I mean, to me, that makes me very proud that I have people that are so strong in favor of me. By the way, far stronger than any other candidate by a long shot.
Before I do leave, I want to ask you more about this event tonight. Who is going to be with you on stage if you're going to be talking specifically about the veterans groups that you plan on donating money to?
Well, it's a tremendous evening. It's become a tremendous evening, which is really one of the reasons I just can't go to the debate now, and even if I wanted to. But
would you if you didn't have the event planned?
Well, I might have, because Fox was very, very nice to me. I mean, they really were. They couldn't have been nicer. And I spoke to the top people, and they couldn't have been nicer. And I might have, but you know, this took on a life of its own. You covered it better than anybody in terms of the lines. You see the thousands of people standing on line. We're very proud of the event, and it was done over about a 24-hour period, you know, which is pretty amazing. We are going to raise a lot of money for veterans tonight. The veterans have been treated horribly in our country. We're going to take care of our veterans. And one thing I'll say about the debates, with all of the time I've debated, because I've gone through 6 debates and done well, I don't think any question has been asked to me or almost anybody else about the veterans. They forget about the veterans. The veterans are like forgotten about. And even in the debates, the veterans aren't discussed or talked about. And what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be talking about them. And we're going to be doing more than talking. We're going to be raising millions of dollars tonight for the veterans.
Mr. Trump, thank you so much. Really appreciate you making the time.
Fascinating interview, Brianna. And I mean, what Trump said is very true. He has given more interviews and he is more accessible as a candidate, I think, than any candidate we have seen, certainly in a long, long time.
Yeah, he certainly has given a number of interviews, and that really is sort of the forum that he clearly prefers, Anderson, one-on-one with a reporter, compared to the debates where he hasn't necessarily, he talks about how he's won them, but a lot of people, observers will look at the debates and say, you know, there are other candidates who sort of create their moments, and Donald Trump really creates his moments instead out on the campaign trail. Clearly, what he wanted to do tonight, though, was to hit Ted Cruz in a forum where Ted Cruz could not defend himself. So that was a pretty interesting sort of interesting thing that he was trying to do instead of appearing in a debate where certainly he would have got that pushback from Cruz.
And certainly some of our panelists have pointed out, Cruz now will also probably be the focus from a number of other candidates on that stage tonight who he might not otherwise have been. So it works on both levels. Breonna Keeler, I appreciate you being with us as we wait for both the Trump event and the Everyone But Trump event. We'll be joined next by one of the other candidates at the Trump event. Mike Huckabee joins us right after the break.